Last Tuesday, I got a call from Chase Bank asking me to confirm details on my $380,000 mortgage application for a 4-bedroom house in Tacoma. I don't own a house. I never applied for a mortgage. I have never even been to Tacoma. When I told them there must be a mistake, the loan officer read my full name, my social security number, my date of birth, and my employer's name. Every detail was correct. Someone had applied for a mortgage in my name and put down a $95,000 deposit. It took me 48 hours to figure out who did it. It was my parents. Some context. My name is Nathan, I am 29, software engineer in Seattle. Grew up in Everett, Washington. Dad Gary was a construction foreman. Mom Diane worked at a dental office. My sister Amber is 24. On paper, normal family. In reality, my parents saw me as a resource. They didn't hate me, they loved me in a way that always came with a price tag. I was the capable one. Everything I earned was treated as family property. When I was 16, I worked an entire summer at a pizza shop, saved $2,800 for a laptop for school, brought it home on a Friday evening. By Monday, it was gone. My mother gave it to Amber because she needed it more. When I asked for a replacement, Mom smiled and said, "You are smart, Nathan, you will earn another one." I never did. When I got a full scholarship to the University of Washington, my parents told me to go to community college instead. They wanted me nearby to help at home. My father said, "You think you are better than us now?" I left anyway, worked 2 jobs through college. Sent home about $14,000 over 4 years for Amber's car, Dad's medication, endless emergencies. Not a dollar returned. I learned early that in my family, love was never truly free. It always came with an invoice. After college, I built my career carefully, lived below my means, saved aggressively. By 29, I had a credit score above 780, and was months from putting a down payment on my own place. Then the phone rang. I was working from my apartment in Capitol Hill when an unknown number appeared. I almost ignored it. Am I speaking with Nathan Cole? This is Jennifer Wu from Chase Bank. Calling about your mortgage pre-approval for 1847 Maple Ridge Drive, Ive. Tacoma. I froze. What mortgage? She read back every detail. My full name, my social security number, my employer, my salary. Then, the co-applicants are Gary and Diane Cole listed as your parents. My hands went cold. Not the kind from holding ice. The kind that starts in your chest and spreads outward, like your body knows something terrible before your brain does. I told her to freeze the application immediately. After hanging up, I sat in silence for 10 minutes. Then I called my best friend Marcus Webb, a real estate attorney in Seattle. He was quiet for 5 seconds. "Nathan, this is potentially identity theft and mortgage fraud, both federal crimes." He told me to pull my credit report and freeze everything before contacting my parents. Find out where the $95,000 came from. That is the key. I pulled my report that hour. The Chase inquiry was there, 3 weeks old. But there was more. A Capital One credit card opened in my name 6 months ago. Balance, $12,400. I never applied for it. Billing address, my parents' old house in Everett. The one they just sold. They had been using my identity for months. This wasn't desperation. It was a plan. I called my mother, kept my voice steady. "Mom, did you and Dad apply for a mortgage in my name?" Brief silence. "Oh, the bank called already? We were going to tell you this weekend." My jaw tightened. "Tell me. About a $380,000 loan in my name?" Her tone stayed light. "We sold the Everett house and put the money toward a place in Tacoma. 4 bedrooms, big backyard. Amber and Kyle need space for the baby." I pressed. "And you put it in my name because..." She didn't hesitate. "Your credit is the best. Dad's retired. My income isn't enough. You should be proud we trust you this much." I took a breath. "You used my social security number. You opened a credit card I never authorized. That is not trust. Mom, that is fraud." 3 seconds of silence. Her voice turned hard. "Don't you dare use that word with your own mother." I heard Dad yelling in the background. "Tell him to stop being dramatic and come sign the papers." I spoke once more. "I am not signing anything. And you need a lawyer, because I am getting one." I called Marcus back. "Don't go to their house. Don't engage further. Meet me tomorrow morning. We are filing a police report." I sat alone that night watching the Seattle rain blur the city lights. My parents didn't just forge my signature, they forged an entire future I never agreed to. And somehow, I was the ungrateful one for not wanting it. I will update when I find out where that $95,000 came from. The Everett house sold for $340,000. Their lifestyle never suggested savings. Something doesn't add up. Am I wrong for refusing a house my parents bought using my own identity? Update. 3 days later, 3 days after my last post, I filed a police report against my own parents for identity theft and mortgage fraud. 2 hours later, my mother showed up at my apartment building, screaming in the lobby so loud that neighbors called security. But that is not the update. The real update is what Marcus found in the financial records. The $95,000 down payment didn't just come from selling the Everett house. $40,000 of it came from a HELOC they secretly took out. Also in my name, 8 months ago. They didn't steal my identity once. They had been doing it for almost a year. Monday morning, Marcus and I walked into the Seattle Police Department. The officer handed me a form. I filled it out until I reached one box: relationship to suspect. I stared at that line for a minute. Then I wrote one word: parents. The officer classified it as identity theft and potential mortgage fraud. The case went to a detective. Marcus filed a complaint with Chase to freeze the mortgage and disputed the $12,400 Capital One card. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. Front desk. Mr. Cole, there is a woman here saying she is your mother. She is very upset. I took the elevator down. Mom was sitting in the lobby, eyes red, tissues in her hand. The moment she saw me, she stood. Her face wasn't sadness. It was fury. The police. You called the police on your own parents. Her voice echoed across the lobby. 2 residents turned to stare. I kept my voice low. What you have done, Mom, you stole my identity. She stepped closer. We borrowed your name. We were going to make every payment ourselves. You had never have to worry, I said. You opened a credit card and spent $12,000 without telling me. She blinked. Something flickered across her face. That was for moving expenses. Amber needed a crib, a stroller. I cut in. With my credit, her eyes filled with tears. I am your mother. I gave you life, and you repay me by treating me like a criminal. I held her gaze. You repaid me by treating me like an ATM. Then my phone rang. Amber, no, hello, you are ruining everything. I am pregnant. Where am I supposed to live? Kyle and I were counting on that house. I stayed calm. Then Kyle should have applied for the mortgage himself. Pause. Kyle's credit is not good right now, I said. That sounds like a Kyle problem, not a Nathan problem. She hung up. That evening, Marcus called with the financial breakdown. The Everett house sold for $340,000. After the remaining mortgage of $112,000 and closing costs, my parents netted about $218,000. Part of that went to the $95,000 deposit, but $40,000 came from a HELOC opened 8 months ago, using my name and credit score, while the Everett house was still theirs. They leveraged my identity against their own property, before selling it. Marcus traced the remaining $123,000. $45,000 transferred directly to Kyle Bennett's account. $30,000 for a new SUV for Amber, $28,000 on furniture, baby supplies, and a 2-week Florida vacation. $20,000 unaccounted for. Total debt on my name, $380,000 mortgage, $40,000 HELOC, $12,400 credit card. $432,400. They hadn't just borrowed my name, they had built an entire new life for Amber and Kyle on my credit. Then my girlfriend Leah found something worse. Leah is a CPA. She spotted something I missed. Kyle had registered an LLC called Bennett and Cole Properties in Delaware 4 months ago. I was listed as a business partner. Never heard of it. Never signed anything. Leah said. They are not just using your credit. They are building an entire financial structure with your identity. If Kyle takes on debt or gets sued through this LLC, your name is on everything. That night, my father called. No yelling, no commands, just a trembling voice. Son, please. Drop the police report. We can work this out as a family, I said. You put over $400,000 in debt on my name. That is not a family matter. That is a crime, he exhaled. I was trying to take care of this family. My back is destroyed. I cannot work. Your mother's salary barely covers groceries. Amber has a baby on the way. What was I supposed to do? I said. You were supposed to ask me. Long silence. Would you have said yes? I paused. Number, and that is why you didn't ask. Because you knew. His breathing was heavy. Then, what choice did I have? I answered. Any choice that didn't involve stealing from your own son. At 11 p.m., Marcus called again. Urgent. Nathan. Someone tried to open a second credit card in your name tonight. Denied because of the freeze. But the application came from Kyle and Amber's apartment. I sat in the dark. They are still doing it. Marcus said. This isn't desperation anymore. This is a pattern. I froze my credit thinking that would end it. Instead, it proved my family saw me not as a person but as a resource, and resources don't get to say no. Kyle has an LLC in my name, over $400,000 in debt hangs over me, and someone just tried to open another card. I am meeting a federal fraud investigator tomorrow. Update 2: My grandmother called me yesterday, the woman who hasn't spoken to me in 3 years. She didn't call to defend my parents. She called to confess. She said, "Nathan, I gave your mother $20,000 from my retirement fund, because she told me you approved the house plan. She lied to me too, and this isn't the first time." Then she told me a secret about my mother that no one in the family knows. A secret from 30 years ago. First, the FBI, Marcus and I met Special Agent Rivera at the federal building in Seattle. He reviewed everything. The forged mortgage. The HELOC, the credit card. The LLC. He set the folder down and said, "Mr. Cole, what your parents did checks every box for federal identity theft under 18 U.S.C. Section 1028. The mortgage fraud adds charges. If prosecuted, they are looking at up to 15 years. 15 years, the words hit me like a wall. I asked about Kyle. The LLC is separate. Wire fraud if money moved through it. Outside, Marcus said, "You don't have to push for prosecution, but you need this complaint on record to protect yourself." I nodded. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Then the smear campaign hit. My mother called every relative with her version. "Nathan is trying to send us to prison because we bought him a house." Aunt Linda posted on Facebook, "Some children don't deserve the parents God gave them." 340 reactions. 89 comments. All against me. Uncle Steve called. "Your mother is on blood pressure medication because of you." Cousin Jess sent a screenshot of the family group chat. Every message the same: ungrateful, heartless, disown him. Amber posted an Instagram story of her pregnant belly. "My baby might not have a home because of someone's selfishness. But God is good." She didn't tag me. Didn't need to. I responded to none of them. Leah said, "Don't engage. The court of public opinion doesn't matter. The real court does." Wednesday afternoon. My phone rang at a coffee shop. Unknown number. Everett area code. "Nathan, this is your grandmother, please don't hang up." My breath caught. "Grandma Ruth." She said, "I need to tell you something. Listen to every word. 4 months ago, Diane came to her crying, told her I had agreed to the house plan and that the family needed $20,000 more. Ruth pulled it from her retirement savings and handed it over. I closed my eyes. Grandma, I never agreed to any of this." Silence, heavy breathing. "I know that now. Linda told me the truth. And that is when I realized your mother lied to me." Again, I leaned forward. Again, she paused. Then she told me what she had carried for 30 years. Before I was born, when Diane was 28, she stole her own father's identity. My grandfather, Ruth's husband, who died that year, Diane opened 3 credit cards in his name after his death. Ran up $34,000. Ruth found it while handling the estate. She paid every cent herself to keep her daughter out of prison. Never told a soul. I thought she learned. I was wrong. She didn't learn. She just found a new victim. You. I sat frozen. Leah reached across the table and held my hand. Ruth's voice steadied. "I am 82. I don't have much time, but I will not watch this happen again. Whatever you need, testimony, records, I will give it." 2 days later, Kyle was arrested. He tried to open a $50,000 business credit line at Bank of America, using my identity. The freeze blocked it, but the bank flagged the fraud pattern and called police. Kyle was booked at King County Jail. At 2 a.m., Amber called, no screaming this time. Just crying, "Nathan, please. Kyle is in jail. I am 6 months pregnant. Mom and Dad are on Uncle Steve's couch." I sat up. "I am sorry, Amber, but Kyle tried to steal from me again." Her voice cracked. "He was trying to provide for our family," I said. "By committing fraud, that is not providing, that is stealing." Silence. Then, "Are you going to let him stay in jail?" I said. "I didn't put him there. His choices did." That night I sat on my balcony watching the Seattle skyline. Leah came out and sat next to me without a word. After a long silence I said, "Is there something wrong with me? For not feeling guilty?" She looked at me. "You don't feel guilty because you did nothing wrong. You feel conflicted because you are a good person in a situation created by people who should have protected you." Next morning, Marcus called. "Tacoma deal is dead. Chase pulled the application. But the seller is suing your parents for breach of contract. And because the mortgage was in your name, you might get dragged in." I gripped the phone. "Can they?" Marcus said. "I am working to get you dismissed. But they used your name on the purchase agreement. The seller's lawyer says you are the buyer. My parents didn't just steal my name. They made me the face of a deal I never agreed to. Now a stranger is suing me for a house I have never seen. Kyle is in jail. My grandmother gave me testimony that could send my mother to prison, and every relative thinks I am the villain." Final update coming. Final update: the seller dropped the lawsuit against me after Marcus presented evidence that I was a victim of identity theft. But that is not why I am writing this final update. I am writing because last Thursday, I sat across from my parents in a courtroom. My mother looked at me and said, "If you do this, I will never forgive you." I looked at her and said, "You never had to forgive me for anything. I am the one who has been forgiving you my entire life." Then the judge asked me a question I will never forget. Marcus handled the seller's case in 48 hours. Police report. FBI complaint. Credit freeze. Chase Bank's confirmation. I never signed anything. The seller withdrew the claim against me but kept the suit against my parents. $95,000 deposit plus $45,000 in damages. My parents had nothing left. Kyle took a plea deal, identity theft reduced to a misdemeanor. 2 years probation. 200 hours community service, full restitution of $12,400. Amber filed for divorce 2 weeks later. She texted me, "I am done with him." I didn't respond. Then came the civil trial. I chose not to press criminal charges against my parents, but I needed the court to clear every debt from my name, award damages for credit destruction, and rule that I was never part of any transaction. Their court-appointed attorney opened with, "My clients acted out of love and desperation. They never intended to harm their son. They believed he would eventually accept it." Marcus stood and said, "Love doesn't require a forged signature. Desperation doesn't justify identity theft, and he would eventually accept. It is the logic of every person who has ever violated someone's consent." Then Marcus called his witness. The courtroom door opened and Grandma Ruth was wheeled in 82. Frail, in a wheelchair, but her voice carried like it belonged to someone half her age. She told the court what happened 30 years ago. How Diane stole her own father's identity after his death. 3 credit cards in a dead man's name. $34,000. Ruth presented old receipts, yellowed but legible. Then she looked at the judge. "I protected my daughter once. I paid for her crimes. I thought she had changed. She didn't. Now she has done the same to her own child. I will not protect her again." My mother's sobs filled the room. My father sat still, head bowed. The judge turned to me, "Mr. Cole, your parents face significant consequences from this. No home, limited income, your father's health issues. You chose not to pursue criminal charges. Before I rule, is there anything you would like to say?" I stood. Looked at my parents. "Your Honor, I spent my life being told family comes first. That blood is thicker than water. I believed it. I sent money home when I barely had enough for groceries. I said yes when I should have said no, but there is a difference between sacrifice and exploitation. My parents didn't sacrifice for me. They invested in me the way you invest in a stock. When they decided to cash out, they didn't ask. They just took. I faced them directly. I don't hate you, but I cannot trust you. And trust, once gone, doesn't come back because someone cries loud enough." My mother whispered, "You were supposed to save this family." I held her gaze. "I was supposed to be your son, not your retirement plan." The judge ruled in my favor, every debt cleared. $8,500 in damages, a formal declaration that I was the victim, not a participant. It was over. I drove to Everett that afternoon. Grandma Ruth hugged me for the first time in 3 years. "I should have told you sooner. I should have protected you." I held her hands. "You are protecting me now. That is enough. I visit her every month now." She updated her will. I am the primary beneficiary. A month later, Amber sent a message. No apology, no blame. "I had my baby, a girl, named her Ruth. I don't expect anything from you. But I wanted you to know." I didn't reply. But I sent a package through Amazon, no return name. A small blanket and a stuffed bear. My parents live in subsidized housing in Tacoma. Dad's health is worse. Mom never apologized. Last I heard, she told Ruth, "Nathan destroyed this family." Ruth answered, "No, Diane, you did. Nathan just refused to let you destroy him too. Leah and I are still together." I started therapy. "First session," I said, "I spent my whole life earning the right to be loved. I am just now learning love isn't supposed to have a price tag." 6 months ago, a bank called about a house I never bought. That call blew apart everything, but sometimes an explosion doesn't destroy you. It just clears the debris so you can see the sky. I still rent in Capitol Hill, but my credit is clean. My name is mine again. No one is spending my future without permission. My parents wanted me to be their foundation. They forgot foundations get to choose what they carry. Saying no to the people who raised you isn't betrayal. It is the first act of truly raising yourself. My name is Nathan Cole. The only person who signs it now is me.